Woohoo! Woohoo! Look who I get to play with today. Hi, Melzie. Hi, Norma.
Hi. Hi, Norma.
How's it going, Melzie? How's it going, Tanya?
Awesome. I had an appellation before this, so much needed. Yeah. So we've got a little bit of a tight timeline today, so we're going to jump right in, guys. We've got, we're going to start off talking about plasma, and we've got a quick little video to get you started so that you can follow along with us. If anybody is uncertain or unsure or has a question, put it in the comments. I'm keeping an eye on it. But we've been asked to pop off a little early for a special live watch tonight of you know who saying you know what. And FCB will be on for that. So awesome. And hello, everybody. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Sherry. Good to see you. Hey, 17Q. We love you. Thank you for always being here. Hey, Grunchy. Good to see you. Cindy. Good to see you too. Be Patriot and Blazina65. All right. So we're going to jump right in and get going. We just got to share my screen and don't mind my computer. Dun, da, da. So we're going to start you off just with a really quick little one about plasma.
Plasma is the fourth state of matter, so it tends to be that it's in a very energetic state. You start with a solid, and you add energy to it, and it turns into a liquid. You add more energy, and it vaporizes into a gas, and then you add more energy, and it actually breaks down into constitutive elements of ions and electrons, and that's the plasma state. Plasmas have a wide variety of applications in science and general. Plasmas are used in semiconductor fabrication. They are used for sterilization of surfaces. Compact fluorescent tubes that you see for lighting your house. Modern thrusters for spacecrafts are all based on plasmas to be very efficient thrusts for maintaining orbit or for actually doing very long missions within space.
And right? And isn't that phenomenal?
I think it was actually the video. I think it was the video above.
The video above? That's okay. Well, that one was good too.
Keep
So you
going,
sent me one that's the first one. Sorry, guys. We're just going to, there we go.
Right there.
Run
That one.
through these.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but if I was on a ship and I saw a glowing sphere of light suddenly floating around the top of the mast, I would be, I think this is the proper term for it, freaked out. But for centuries, sailors saw that all the time, and they thought the mysterious blue glow was a good omen because they associated it with the end of a storm. They called it St. Elmo's fire after St. Erasmus, the patron saint of sailors. But we now know that it's a natural phenomenon. When the pointed end of a ship's mast interacts with the heavily charged air, like during a storm, it can create a ball of plasma. Plasma is the fourth state of matter after solid, liquid, and gas. And even though it makes up 99% of the visible universe, we didn't know plasma was a thing until the late 19th century. In 1879, Sir William Crookes, a British chemist, first discovered that he could make what he called radiant matter using a glass container with 2 electrodes in it, which he used to ionize the gas inside. This matter was later called plasma by American chemist Irving Langmuir in 1928 because he decided that it looked like blood plasma. Plasma is like a gas, but instead of containing neutral atoms or molecules, it's made of ions and electrons. So to create plasma, all you have to do is create conditions in which electrons get knocked off the particles in a gas. Sometimes this happens because the gas is hot. The extra energy knocks electrons out of their places, ionizing the gas. Other times, a powerful electric current can eject electrons from gas particles, turning that gas into plasma. But even though plasma essentially comes from gas, it acquires so many special properties that it's considered an entirely different state of matter. Normally, for example, gas isn't all that good at conducting electricity. Actually, it's often used as an insulator. But in plasma, there are so many detached electrons floating around, it becomes incredibly conductive. This conductivity shows up in lightning, for example. When a powerful current forms between 2 highly charged areas in the atmosphere, it passes through a long, skinny column of air, heating it to 5 times the temperature of the surface of the sun. Lightning is actually a trail of plasma. And since electric fields and magnetic fields are both the result of the same force, electromagnetism, plasma also turns out to be very responsive to magnetic fields. Researchers often use this when they're trying to control the stuff, to study it. But we also use plasma all the time in our everyday lives, like in fluorescent lights. When you turn on a fluorescent light, an electric current ionizes the gas in the bulb, usually argon with a little mercury, and it becomes plasma and interacts with a compound called phosphor to create light. So sure, you'll find plasma in all kinds of places on Earth, but in space, the stuff is everywhere. Stars, for example, are just giant balls of plasma. The tremendous heat generated by their fusion reactions has the same effect on atoms of gas as found in a Crookes tube or a fluorescent bulb, only much, much, much more so. And there's plasma between stars too, even between galaxies. We normally think about the space between stars and galaxies as a vacuum, and a lot of it essentially is. But there are a lot of places that have quite a lot of matter. It's just spread out over light years of empty space. And that too is plasma, pockets of gas that have been superheated into clouds of ions and electrons. Cosmologists think that up to 50% of the normal matter in the universe is strewn around between galaxies in this form, known as the intergalactic medium. So you don't have to be an old-timey sailor to witness the fourth state of matter. It's right over your head in those fluorescent lights and outside your window the next time a thunderstorm comes, and, well, all over the universe. Thanks for watching this episode of SciShow, especially to our Subbable subscribers who keep us energized. See what I did there? To learn how you can support us, just go to Subbable.com to learn more. And don't forget to go to YouTube.com/SciShow and subscribe.
There we go. So the plasma is not only in our blood, which is kind of where I think a lot of us are used to hearing about it. It's everywhere. It's everything. It is the conductor, so to speak, right? Between, because time doesn't exist. Actually, Norma, you described this one because you said it really well earlier.
Well, plasma is, like you said, it's a conductor. So it's a lubricant. It carries information. It does within our bodies. It does outside our bodies. So as we come to understand how that process works from inside out, then what we see is that plasma is actually, from my perspective and what I got from what I received as far as the information given to me, is like, you can look at plasma as like the liquid of the soul. So depending on how much you can tap into your DNA to open the Akashic records, to allow those codes come out, activate in the cells of the body, get those to vibrating, you get the friction, which creates the sparkle of this fluorescent liquid, which becomes the liquid soul, basically. But it's a crystalline. That's where you're crystallizing your body, because that's how you're able to take yourself and have the information that you bring back from your other realms back to this physical body. That's how you're crystallizing this body, because you're raising your level of consciousness, given what you're bringing from there back here, and allowing your cells to vibrate at such a high frequency, which crystallizes the plasma. And it's translucent. It glows. And that's how the auric field expands, is by the friction that is caused by the DNA in the cells working together in collaboration to basically enlighten you.
Absolutely. Melzie, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, plasma can go in and out of dimensions, right? So when we access, everything is made of plasma. It's like they say it's the fourth state of matter, but what does that mean, right? So they say that matter, like plasma makes up more space, right, than matter. So if you took like some studies, like all the people in all of our cells, 8 billion people, it could go into a sugar cube if you took out the plasma. So
Wow.
that's how much plasma is important to us, right? It creates all of space. So when you realize that, I was listening to Billy Carson today, and I don't know if you know Billy Carson, but he's amazing.
Yep.
And he was talking about how, like we were talking about this, that the dimensions are interconnected. They're right there. And so when we realize that they're interconnected through plasma, right, then we can understand like how we can have knowing of something in our our soul, like, oh, I should do this, or I shouldn't do this. But monoatomic gold is a plasmic element, and they kind of go through the process of how you'd make it, right? You take a matter, which would be solid gold, and then you apply heat to it, and then it turns into a gas or a liquid or something. They apply more, and then they get this ethereal element. So monatomic gold creates levitation, and it's a great study of plasma because we're made of plasma. So if you realize that monatomic gold can go in and out of dimensions, it can connect us to source, then we can do that. Our cells can do that. We're not as confined then to this 3D realm, right?
Right.
Because everything is vibrating and we can't see it. And this is what I was watching, that today and kind of studying it. What struck me was the heat element of it. So if we're made of plasma, right, and everything's made of plasma, it's constantly having this inner exchange of electromagnetism that's creating extreme friction, like extreme heat, and yet we don't burn up. We don't see people, burning up or things burning up. And so that kind of was interesting to me, that there's so much energy and yet it's confined to not blow up.
Right. So we have a couple questions. Isn't the plasma we see trapped between two frequency arcs? Well, that's what you can see with these eyes.
Yeah.
But it's everywhere. This is something we're not taught about because that is the ether. The ether is plasma. So when you see lightning or you see how they used to, that's how we get our free energy, is collecting that energy. That's how we're communicating, as above, so below. So yes, the blue sky is plasma. Has little to do with flat earth. We're going to leave that one out of this conversation. And claircognizance. Yeah, clear knowing. Absolutely. And plasma carries the Akashic record. Absolutely. So that's in a different dimension. So the book of records is in a separate dimension to itself, but that's how you access it, is through the plasma. And that's how it's stored there, is through the plasma. If consciousness is anything, it's a wave of energy. What is a wave of energy? A wave of plasma with extra energy in it. Yeah. So this has really come on strongly for us the last few days. And so we felt it was good to share. And if everything's energy and we're vibrating all the time, what happens with this avatar when it's done? Think about it. Energy can't be created or destroyed. So we vibrate, but we can't see with these eyes. Oh, we're going to go into that, are we? Okay. Norma, do the breakdown again of the eye thing. We're not seeing with these eyes and taking it in. We're reflecting out.
Oh, yeah, it's a projector. There's a screen. Yeah. You're either looking at the image in front of you, or you're allowing the image to come off the screen. So it's a direct link to the pineal, where we're always looking at the octopus, and if you see octopus and it's floating in the sea, it's like pineal, and then you see the veins, or what makes up the eye. Yes, thank you, the ocular nerves. Yeah. So what that does is it takes that information in. So it's either you project the information you receive because you've come to a different perspective, and then you're offered up that perception, which gives you the projector to see life as it is, or you allow what's in front of you to create your reality. You can use it either way, but you're either seeing with the eyes of the human or you're seeing the eyes of the soul.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes, you know, what is our consciousness? Does our consciousness come from this DNA meat suit? Or is that something we're already tapping into? See, I think we already live within the other dimensions, right? We're already tapping into them. We're you know, just now perceiving that, right? That this thought, like this meat suit, you know, when it dies, where does it go? It goes back into the earth, right? But the soul that is connected through plasma, that's why everything is interconnected. When you realize that we're all of the same light, right? We're all of the same creation. Although you have an imprint, like a signature, a frequency imprint that is specific to you, each one. That's what makes us so unique. Like that each little snowflake is its own unique, beautiful self, right? Expression of signature, of frequency.
100%. Beautiful. Let's give them a few more photos because we've got those here. So I'm going to pop this in, and I didn't grab them all. I grabbed most of them. And so there we go.
I love this one. This is a somatic photographer. His name is Sean Pekarsnik, and I've followed him for a while, and his work has just really moved me. And if you zoom in, you can see it almost looks like an angel that is there. So when you say that an angel is a frequency or that it's of a higher dimension, you can see that really could be true, right?
Yeah.
So what he does is he puts a sound frequency into you know, water or something, then he takes photographs of it. And I love his work. I love his expression too of his journey.
Yeah, 100%. And here's a good example for everyone.
Yeah, so you know, everybody's seen kind of the Tesla coil, right? So when you're looking at a Tesla coil, what you're looking at really is a plasma ball. And I think that like the neon lights, right? What isn't that plasma?
They're the gas, and then the plasma, right? It's they work together to create it. Yeah, it's beautiful. Absolutely. Everything is alchemy. And we're the alchemists, right? Now I don't know what I did. Oops. One second.
There's a couple more because there's one that he does ice somatics too, and he takes a picture of, this is a great one. I love this one. So we have that one picture, you know, Tesla, you see a Tesla coil right there, and Tesla's holding the dove, right? And the tree of life is a Tesla coil. You'll see that in the upper, is that the right
here?
Yes.
Yeah.
So when we see the Holy Grail coming down with the dove, if you look at Sean Pekarsnik's picture right below that, I went, oh my goodness, it's like the Merkaba, the spinning Merkaba, right? The Tesla coil, the tree of life. And you can see the plasmic elements in the pictures of it. And, you know, plasma is also kind of that orgone energy, that creation source, life force energy. So it makes sense why I would have so much, like 5 times the, you know, the heat of the sun is what we have going on everywhere all the time.
Yes, that's a good point. Beautiful.
This one I thought was interesting because it goes with whatever he did here. It looks like language. And there's another one that has a picture of it that this is
I don't know that I grabbed all of them. So let's just keep going for today, and then we'll dig back into this 100%.
That the last one was, if you go back to this one, you can see the face. So like, you know, it looks like the Mayan calendar, and inside there's a face. And I went, oh my goodness, it's time is a frequency, right?
And the world is a clock. Yeah, absolutely. It's very cool. And this is the same thing. What's the one at the top here, Melzie?
That might be the Enochian calendar because I study that as well.
Okay,
And because it has stargates in it.
cool.
This is like a flux capacitor. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's beautiful.
There's the flux capacitor, you see. So that's energetically what's going on there. You see, like that's a 2D image, and then there's an image. But then when you see the last image we saw, then you can see the energetics. That's if we could see magnet, like the magnetism that's happening in there, the energy. That's what's
Yeah.
happening in the flux capacitor.
And it makes me think, so when we're the ones doing plant medicine on occasion, and when you're first dropping in and you start to have the visuals, it's very, very similar. I was like, oh,
Mhm.
I've seen that. Yeah, so it gets you into a little bit different state. So Norma, can you drop back into just quickly repeat again regarding the plasma and how it relates to the DNA and the lineage for people?
But DNA is more on the level of lineage, but we've always been taught linear. That way, it distracted us from the sole purpose of understanding what our DNA is. So as we begin to raise our vibration, we tap into those codes in the DNA. As we do that, then we activate understandings within ourselves of the importance of lineage, because every time we come here and have an experience, even if it's in a different avatar, same avatar, it gets just so in depth sometimes. But as we come and we have these experiences, it's important to understand that our DNA is what talks about our lineage. The cells is what delivers that information throughout the body, so that way it vibrates at a frequency over time, only rising as we continue to tap into all this. So, like I said, once those cells start to vibrate at a specific speed, then it causes that friction within the body, which like you said, Melzie, with the plasma, it's an amazing thing, because as you heat it up, it doesn't burn, it doesn't do anything, it just reacts, it responds. So it's a beautiful process when you understand it at a level that when you understand that, you can't see yourself separate from anything else, because you're not. You're the very makeup of everything outside of you.
Yes.
So, and then that information flow, because you begin to understand that, then you understand how the information works through the etheric, because it is an ebb and flow. Because what we do in here from what we receive out there, we take and we project out, which produces the world we want to see and we want to create, where it is full of love, bliss, joy, happiness. And there is no such things as war, calamity, and all that, because we begin to change the molecular structure within us, which changes the structure of the place we call Earth and universe and multiverse. So you're right. It's just, there's more that can be in the in-depth of the explanation of this, but I try to keep it as basic as I can, because it can get quite complex.
We're going to keep it all simple, because it's all about feels.
Yes.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
I just wanted to add in, how do we utilize it, right? First, we need to go in word, slow yourself down. And often sitting quietly with yourself can be very challenging for a lot of people, but this is where the magic happens. Yeah, absolutely. Melzie, do you want to add to that?
Well, there's a lot of things once we understand plasma, if we're talking just plasma, but if we're talking the quantum, we're learning how to access that, how to communicate. because we've been doing it our whole life. We just didn't know it. And so now, whether or not you're like, oh, it means these electrons and these ions and they're heated up to a certain, it doesn't really matter. What matters is when you go, what I think and what I feel, when I put that emote into it, that emotion, then I create, right? And so what are you thinking and what are you feeling is really, that's how we access this quantum field. And that's how we can, change the world, really. Because whatever our mind thinks and we feel, it really believes it happened.
Well, it
So
doesn't know the difference
it
between
doesn't know the difference.
imagining in your mind's eye watching a movie. That's why we can be so emotional during a movie, or reality, because it's all the same thing to the brain. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we can then change the things that we want to. Really, we can. And so it's a practice of taking control of the things you think and you feel. And with the technology part about it, I have a theory of pyramids that they used. The Hathor temple was a refinery for creating monoatomic gold, and monoatomic gold is a plasmic element. So, and that's how they do it. They heat it up, and then they create liquid, and then they do another thing to it, and then it becomes this ethereal element. And so they're using monoatomic gold in different ways in communication because you don't need wires. But I've looked at some of the technology that the CIA is using, and it's like they're using, okay, how do we create these wires to communicate better with the superconductivity? But if you have something that's superconductive and it goes in and out of dimensions and it'll take something with it and bring it back, then that opens up things like teleportation, right? And it opens up possibly healing the lands too, because I believe that we're having like a plasmic infilling from our universe right now, and all of our cells, all of our plasma inside of us is kind of getting stimulated, right? That's what you were talking about, Norma. Like our DNA is being activated, and we're having these rememberings about who we really are and what our mission is and what our purpose is. And when that happens, that's how we're going to get that crystalline body, that upload. And what will our world be like? Everything that is in it, that's physical, that's matter based, will have a different signature expression after we go through this. So that's my belief. But monoatomic gold might be a helper in that. Like the Anunnaki dispersed it into the ionosphere, and they had much more advanced technology than we have understanding of. So my question is why? What did it do? Was it just for longevity, or was it for technology, or did it help increase, growth on the earth? And if we have the answers to some of those questions, maybe we can use that to heal places in our earth that need healing. I don't know.
Yeah. I would say all of the above. As you were saying that, I'm like, all of it.
Yeah.
Right? Can you imagine having that capacity? That I think some of us have that capacity to send it out energetically and create a field around us and be able to bring others into that field. I think that's partially why when we're connected together and we're all vibrating at the same frequency, it creates this energetic field that it's just, you can't help but feel it and notice it. It's just there. Yeah. It's incredible. Yeah. Learning Coco One says, this is how you communicate telepathically. Yeah. You're getting the game. Yay. Yeah. And it's okay. It took me a little bit to grasp it too, guys. So any questions, please type them in, because, we never know.
Talk about the 100th monkey effect too real quick. And I'm not sure if people know what that is, but so there was this experiment that was done on this island, and there was like 100 monkeys that lived on this island, and I don't remember what they taught them, like to eat bananas with peanut butter or something. They taught them something, or they were being taught something. And when
to wash food,
what?
To wash the food that got dirty when it got thrown at them.
Well, yeah. It wasn't dipping bananas in Nutella?
No, but that sounds way better.
And so whatever it was, once it reached the 100th monkey, the monkeys on the other island, even though they weren't in communication, they weren't in physical contact with each other, started doing the same thing, washing their food before they ate it. Was that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Only because I
So,
looked it up recently.
so
Yeah.
that's the 100th monkey effect. When we hit a certain place in population, in mass consciousness, it's probably energy. You know, it's not a number, but it's probably an energetic, like you said, it's like a wave. And once it hits there, then everybody knows it.
Yeah.
So
Well, and
that's why
that's,
the Great Awakening, I think they can't stop
yeah.
it, because
No.
once we hit a mass consciousness,
Yeah.
it'll boom. No,
And
nothing
so,
can stop what's coming.
right? And so
Mhm.
when you look at it that way, and we take what we said about we're creating our reality or we're consuming our reality, right? One of those two things. So if we're being led to look outside of ourselves for everything we need, and there's a show, and there's a good guy, and there's a bad guy, is it even actually really important compared to what's going on if you just went inside and figured things out for yourself and put yourself in control and stopped giving so much of your energy to something externally? Because that is the goal of either of this. It is an external game vying for your energy and your attention. So we want you to consider taking some of your time back inwards and take it for you so you get to know who you are. Because when you operate from your heart and you love yourself and you don't need anyone else to give that to you, you can sit by yourself and you're like content and happy, and things might come up, but you just move through them. That is the magic. That is the shit stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's hard work, but it's worth it. And you
Yeah.
can do it. And
Yeah.
part of it, I think, is just learning to spend time with yourself, working
Mhm.
through those thoughts. You know, if you've got thoughts, someone told me this, think. And I thought, man, they know that I think a lot. You know, they know I'm a thinker. No, they were saying you can think about it 3 times. And if you think about it more than that, that's chronic thinking. Okay, you're obsessing over it then. So you got to do something with it. And that was the hard part for me, was to get away from the repetitive negative thoughts that I was having, right? If I was thinking about something more than 3 times, I had to do something with it. And that was where I was like, well, sometimes I didn't know how to solve it. So I had to learn how to release it, right? And there were different ways I did that releasing, like going for a walk, taking a bath, you know, using the healing frequencies like we've talked with, headphones, meditating. You know, sometimes talking it out didn't really help because I was just, you know,
Put you in a
regurgitating.
loop. It's like being on a
Yeah.
hamster wheel. Somebody is just asking about that. Yeah. So you can actually also write it down. So if you have a repetitive thought, write it down and go, okay, at 3:00 on Friday, I'm going to worry about that. I'm not going to worry about it today. And then at 3:00 on Friday, you pull your little list out and you see how many of those things were actually that important, because I bet you'd be really surprised. Yeah. And I used to do a thing where I would just flick it away. Oh, patut, I'm not thinking that thought. That's out of here. Delete, Control Alt Delete. So it depends on how it works for you. Absolutely,
Yeah.
guys. When
Yeah.
our pineal glands open and help us to remember, is plasma in the equation? Yes, now you're getting it. Plasma is the conductor. It's bringing the information, so that, remember, water has memory, and so plasma's partly made up of water, right? So it's the carrier of information. I never knew how strongly, and I kept thinking about water, and then it went to, oh, plasma. Oh yeah, plasma's everywhere. So it naturally makes sense. And all I said to Norma was, oh, I'm thinking a lot about plasma. Next thing you know, Norma gets this big download about plasma. Boom, 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 boom. So it's like she's my supercomputer.
I have a role to play. What can I say?
It's very important. Your insight's so important, right? And then, yeah, so I just press the buttons, but I press the right buttons.
Doing it all the time. Oh, here's another rabbit hole for you. Gotcha. Let me sit with
Yeah, yeah,
Luc
absolutely.
Montagnier, his work, he was a French physicist, and he discovered, I think, the AIDS virus. And he has something out called the fourth state of water. So it's kind of interesting, like there's, like, which is plasmic, right? That it reacts
Yep.
differently.
Yeah.
And it has memory, like you were saying, and it actually groups up and does things. So the thing about plasma that's so interesting is it's very hard to study because it's like void, right? But it also sometimes it is like void, like that black hole, right? So how can you study something that isn't there really?
Yeah.
And when they do, their instruments have a hard time gauging, because when you go in and out of dimensions, you have a weightlessness. And so sometimes like when they were doing experiments with monoatomic gold, it would actually levitate the pan. So then there was no weight with anything. And they were like, how could that happen? And then it would vanish and come back. Can you imagine studying that?
Well, you know, it's
That would
amazing
be so
because
much fun.
yeah, I feel that's the reason why it's like I see it and perceive it the way that I do. It is of soul matter,
Yeah.
and it's a matter of everything. So it's almost like, I don't want to say that it's more important than DNA, but it's very, very important to our understanding of this world, of this life, of this just experience. Because when we come to understand that, we become better at how we interact when we do get plugged in and we go to other realms in our sleep, in our travels, whatever it may be, because just the information you can bring back because of the crystallization or the crystalline that is taking place in the body, because our consciousness is rising, which is, of course, raising the frequency in the body, which is altering the body to be a better mechanism of usage. Basically, you learn how to use the body in so many different ways when you understand the processes of what makes up the body. And all you need is the basics. You don't have to get all the way into the complexities of it. You just need to know the basics: DNA, cells, plasma, water, blood. Just keep it basic.
And so how do we activate it, right? We get our minerals, we get our salt, we eat high vibrational food, we ground, we sleep well. We are conscious of being the observer of what we see, what we speak, what we think, and what we do. And it's not rocket science. It's quite intuitive once you get into it, even though the first words might feel like, oh, I'm out of my field. Just, it's really basic, guys. It's all about you and sitting with you. So absolutely. And that's funny. Quantum healers talking about the Silva method. Yeah, absolutely. There's the whole combination of stuff that one can use. So that's really good. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, quantum healer.
Yeah. Is that good?
Yeah. They told me they'd be watching.
Yeah. Is there plasma in amniotic fluid?
I probably.
Yeah.
Because I think there's plasma in everything.
Amniotic fluid. Sorry.
Because it's a lubricant.
Go ahead.
Lubricant.
It's a lubricant.
It's a lubricant.
Yes.
I mean, it's like, used so many modalities of usage for plasma, because I mean, plasma carries salts, minerals, water, and the other one eludes me right now, but it carries the basics of the functions of the body, along with the cells and the DNA and every other function that comes along with what drives this avatar. It's the lubricant.
Yeah.
And it's a carrier, conductor.
It's like the glue,
it's just
right? Because we come together, we're coming together, we go together and come apart, go together and come apart. So something energetically, like, is holding that together, right? when you look at a Tesla coil, right, it the energy you see spinning. And so the spinning part, it's like the glue. That's how I see it. But it's the superconductor, like you said, the lubricant keeps us all together, right?
Yeah, it's like a fabric in its own right.
Yeah. And I wanted to comment too on something you said. So do you think do you think that the soul is connected to the DNA, or is it connected to the plasma?
That's a good one.
For me, from what I was given to, for my understanding, was that plasma is the likeness of the soul because of how I perceive the information that gave me the perspective of how I see because it's translucent and it is used in its multiple uses. I feel that the DNA is just a signature of the soul that activates the plasma at the level of vibration or frequency that creates the spark that crystallizes within the body, which allows you to understand your travels, your dream states, and understanding how to create that no resistance to the information that's provided.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's my perspective. But, this is just how I take it in. And I'm just such a visualizer. I'm a seer. And the images that I'm given, it's like I just get it for myself. Now, trying to explain it to others, maybe a little more complicating because sometimes there's just words to the understanding, to what I get. It's so totally different.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, somebody's asking about the monatomic gold. So yeah, Ormus. And so the Ormus I took, and I've been taking it recently because I don't really feel like I needed it. I'm like, don't add anything else. We're doing just fine, thank you. It's from David Pills. So he's on the shows on Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. But you can order it from him. And the reason I'm, and so also in nature, if you find little flecks of gold in a stream, that's monatomic gold. Like that water's good water to drink. So you can choose to have it, sit again, or you can just drink it. So there's something to the alchemization of it to get it, there's some energy work done on David's, which I think is quite beautiful. So, but certainly I drink water. We hit when we were in Mount Shasta, and anytime there was fresh water, it's Tanya like shove it in her mouth. I need my own portable straw.
Thermal hot springs will produce Ormus too, and other things too. So Ormus is not just, you don't have to just have monoatomic gold. Like monoatomic elements are kind of like nanotechnology, we call it today, right? So it becomes and what they do is they break it down. So a matter has, like, let's say there's 6 atoms that are holding gold together. And when it goes through this process, it breaks those atoms down. So the metal part of it goes away, and the energetic signature of it becomes a plasmic element. Okay, it becomes mono, which means one. And so you can have like mono iridium for your brain, and like monoatomic copper, like monoatomic zinc. There's other elements that you can add into it. But when you go and you take, a hot springs bath, you're receiving it directly into your skin and you're absorbing it. And, it's very healing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I actually think that we should come back. Go ahead.
One more comment. You don't have to have monoatomic gold to connect to the, you don't have to have these tools to connect to, to the source. They're tools, right? And one, like, I don't take monoatomic gold anymore either. I guess I would if it was there, but I don't feel I need it because I remember that signature frequency, that signature imprint that I had when I took it. So if you can go back to that, You know, everything has a frequency. Like, you know, when you drink coffee, you kind of get a little like, ah! And, you know, if you drink chamomile, you're a little bit more, oh. So that's what I mean by the signature imprint, right?
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think we'll continue this next week and come up with some more. So you guys will come up with some more tools and maybe a really good written diagram of a description that comes from us. Go ahead.
There is, I don't know if you have it, but there is a written description that I wrote. It's the last one
Okay.
above the video that I gave you. And that
Okay.
one is really good to read if we wanted to.
Okay.
Because it
So tell
talks
you
about
what,
our
I'll
ascension.
Yeah, Melzie has these in her channel, so you can go there. We'll get them posted in our channel so you can see them. And then we will come back to this next week. So Cindy, I wouldn't trust that taking your plasma for donation. Nobody's putting anything else in me or taking it out of me. So I don't trust that at all. Can you girls help me on dealing with complex health issues for a long time? To top it all off, I just had a stroke. Okay. Arlene, we're gonna send you a little link here, so just stay on the line, okay? All right, you guys. So we love you lots. You did really good. Yes, we'll circle back on this one. It looks like it's really needed, so that's okay. It was a start. It's the beginning, and we will start again next week and explain it in another way so that you can maybe understand a little bit differently. And I love all of you in the chat helping each other and explaining things. It's so beautiful. I love it, love it, love it. So we're here without you. So sending you lots of love. We will see you next week 100%. And stay tuned for FCBs coming in next. All right, you guys have a beautiful night. Yeah. We don't even have time for last words today.